If you desperately need money and you go to a bank, the banks are very benevolent, aren't they? And they say, yeah, okay, what kind of terms would you like on this loan? No, they don't say that. They set the terms, and the more desperate you are, the more the terms are in their favor. They call Ukraine is the breadbasket of Europe. It is some of the most fertile, it is some of the best agricultural land in the world. We get to choose who gets to rebuild the Ukraine. The contractors that get the contracts to rebuild it. Guess who's got the contract? Blackstone. All right, welcome back to another edition of Everything Everywhere All at Once, finding meaning and certainty in all the chaos and mayhem. I'm still your host, Stephen Edwards. So we were talking in the last episode about this new religion, if you please, right? The religion of self-expression and empowerment, so we can live a miraculous life. And so we were also saying, okay, so what we've been dealing with the symptoms of problems that are causing wars, conflict, and mayhem in our lives. And so what is the real cause and how do we deal with it? All right, well, let's take a look at some of the issues that we've been faced with, right? So let's take a look at the war of Ukraine, for example, right? So this war in Ukraine, I hope I'm going to put my pen up here. Annotation, so I can write on the board. Let's go, here we go. We're going to put up here. Very good. I'm going to put that down there. And so we have this war in Ukraine. And we are fighting this war in Ukraine because of the Russian invasion, right? Russian invasion. And we just think it's completely wrong that the Russians have gone in there. And if Russia goes into Ukraine and takes over Ukraine, well, we're going to have bigger problems because they're then going to take over the whole world. It is not true. That's not what is happening, right? So what's happening here is all wars, Socrates said that all wars are fought for money or power, right? And what have we said money is? It's a form of power when we know how to harness it. Okay, so here's the truth like a bolt of lightning. You may not like it, but it's okay. You might not like it, but the truth will set you free. But first, it will tick you off, all right? So look, we're not fighting a war in Ukraine because Russia invaded it. We caused Russia to invade it. We have a treaty that said we would not put NATO into Ukraine. We made an agreement to do that. We went back on it. And so how does Russia trust us? So what they're doing is protecting themselves. And they're also taking back regions of Ukraine that in many cases, those areas they don't even speak Ukraine. They're not even recognized by the Ukraine. But here's my point. That's nothing to do with either, really. So excuse me for digressing. Here's the bottom line. The Ukraine is in need of help. And so what they need is weapons, right? Oh, great. Well, that's helping peace, isn't it? They need weapons to fight, to resist Russia. Now, what we resist, persists, right? It's just going to keep going on. What we resist persists. We know all this stuff, right? This is physics. All right. Now, what we're told is we have given $115 billion, right? Plus another 21. And now we're going to give another $60+ billion. Well, that's the proposal that's being held up in Congress right now because the Republicans want us to deal with the borders, right? Okay, but this is all a game. But we have not given any money to the Ukraine. What we've done is given them a loan. We have loaned them the money. Now, if you desperately need money and you go to a bank, the banks are very benevolent, aren't they? And they say, yeah, okay, what kind of terms would you like on this loan? No, they don't say that. They set the terms, and the more desperate you are, the more the terms are in their favor. Would you agree, yes or no? All right. So we are not giving any money to the Ukraine. You go, well, that's fine. And, that's perfectly right. So we're giving them a loan, right? Which has to be paid back, correct? Now, a bank, when they loan money out, what they do is you walk into the bank and you just say, yeah, I need $115 billion. Will you lend it to me? And the bank say, yeah, no, fine, no problem. Just let us know when you got the money, or just bring us money when you have it, and we're all good. No, it's not how a loan works. So the bank sets the terms, right? And you're going to have to pay that money, and you're going to have to collateralize that loan. And so we say, how are you going to pay us back? What assets do you have that you can sell? Yeah. Ukraine has to sell its assets. Now, what does the Ukraine need? It needs weapons. Right? Well, that's really cool, because guess what? We have the weapons you need. Now, most of them are old, and we're probably not going to use them anymore. So this gives our military-industrial complex the opportunity to sell off a lot of stuff that we're not going to need in the future anyway, because it doesn't work that well anyway, like dumb bombs, right? And other military equipment, right? Now, so the money is not going to the Ukraine. It's going to our military industrial complex. Raytheon and all these major companies, right? Now, all those military companies, the military industrial complex, who owns them? Now, you've heard of this name. They're owned by Blackstone. Yeah. Who are a company who have $10 trillion of money that they hold for their investors. That's 3 times the economy of California. So Blackstone is making money out of the war. What did Socrates say? All wars are fought for money. So this Blackstone and our military industrial complex is getting paid all that money. Now, the assets, what collateral have the Ukraine have to put up? Everything. Everything. The airports, their roads, toll roads. But more than anything, their most valuable asset is their land. The Ukraine, the nickname they call Ukraine, is the breadbasket of Europe. It is some of the most fertile, it is some of the best agricultural land in the world. And they've already sold 30% of it. And who's bought it? Companies here in the United States like Cargill. That's just to name one, and you could probably name the others, right? These major food production companies, right? And who owns them? Wow, good guess. Blackstone. Now, I know what you're going to say, and quite rightly too. a lot of these assets are being destroyed, aren't they? Power stations, all of these being destroyed, aren't they? Yeah. So in the loan agreement, who sets the terms? We do. All the rebuilding, we get to choose who gets to rebuild the Ukraine. The contractors that get the contracts to rebuild it. Guess who's got the contract? You got it. Blackstone. Now, I could go on at much more length, and I will. But this is the beginning of what you get to see, that we've got to deal with the underlying cause of war is money. It has nothing to do with doing the right thing. Now, I'm going to show you how this permeates so many other things as well. But this is not what they tell you, is it? They don't tell you these things. These are things done behind the scenes, but it's happening right under your nose. Now, what I want you to do is to go out and I'm kidding. The only way to solve this is get to a point where as human beings, we just don't do these things anymore. And that means creating a heart-centered world. So I want you to understand the importance of what you're doing. There is not any more important work than you can do than getting connected to your heart, sending this beautiful heart-centered energy into the unified field. And we won't do these things to each other anymore. But if you want to do it the hard way and try and change their minds, good luck. And you'll be back in the same place over and over again as we've been doing for centuries. So, end of this episode. Next episode, we're going to get more into it. In the meantime, Saper Ord, dare to be wise.